babes, welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you are new. My name is Brandy. I am the host of the Be Real Babe show, spin-off of the Be Real Babe podcast. And today, you guys, it is Monday when you're watching this, so that means we are keeping up with Canada today. And as most of you know, if you've been listening to the show or if you're just tuning in and you are in Canada, you know today is the federal election, Monday, April 28th. I will be voting live the exact same day, and we'll be talking about that next week. Obviously, we'll know the results by the next episode, but just gonna chat and see what the fuck is gonna happen. We all know, if you know me, we are voting Conservative in this home, and we're looking forward to hopefully Pierre winning, but you just never know the way that the Canadian system is set up. It's just so hard to know, you guys, and those boomers are holding strong onto the Liberals and Carney, but that is not what I'm going to talk about today, actually, because everything is kind of up in the air right now with the election. I want to talk about crime, specifically the mass amount of crime that is coming out of Vancouver, and I want to bring you 3 articles, 2 incidents that have happened in the recent days and weeks, and I also wanted to talk about an article I found about a former police kind of going off about how poorly crime is being taken care of in Vancouver because of all the policies and government. So if you are interested in listening to that, stick around and we'll jump right in. Okay, babes, as talked about, I want to talk about the crime that is coming out of Vancouver. Now, as we all know, if you're in Canada and you're especially in BC, you know that Vancouver, it is more of a metropolitan city. It's a port. It goes right to the island and it goes into the rest of Canada on that one side. So I think most of us growing up, especially us millennials and from the island, we would go party there in Vancouver and go to concerts. And we've kind of always known that there's just always been a little bit more crime in Vancouver. However, things are getting a little bit wild, and I do have to wonder if it's because of the leniency and the compassion that we're giving to those that are doing crimes and letting them back out on the streets, kind of catch and release type of situation. Is that causing more damage than good? Personally, I don't know too many positives that it's done. I do think that there needs to be help with the mental health crisis, but I'm also getting a little frustrated of hearing that those are the reasons why they're being forgiven. Like, oh, they're just having a mental health problem. They just had a lapse in judgment. At what line though do we forgive that? I guess is my question. And are we pushing it a little bit too far here? So I was actually, as one does, traveling through TikTok, and the first story actually showed up for me live in the wild. I seen it live on TikTok, and I was like, what the fuck happened to this girl's face? And I sat there and I listened to her whole TikTok, and my heart just stopped, being someone that has paraded around Vancouver by myself in my younger years. Obviously not now, but I have in the past, and listening to her story terrified me, and a very big reason why I decided to join boxing last summer, because I wanted to make sure that I could at least try to defend myself if something happened. So I'm going to share an article of a really unfortunate incident that happened in Vancouver, and it's not even a local from Vancouver. She was just over there visiting. And so yeah, let's read the article of what happened to her here. Get these pictures too. So, man accused in Vancouver seawall, stranger assault under house arrest. A Toronto woman was visiting Vancouver when she was attacked 3 times by a stranger. And honestly, guys, if you have TikTok, go and find her. Her TikTok is Sup It's Steph. So look at her face there. Oh, this poor girl. Look at her fucking bag. Oy. Poor girl. Okay, so we're not going to read the update first. Let's just go with the original story. So, Toronto woman is sharing her story of how she had to fight for her life after a stranger assaulted her while walking in Vancouver's Cole Harbour. The Vancouver Police Department confirmed the assault took place on April 15th around 12:30 a.m. A woman named Stephanie shared the violent incident on social media and said a complete stranger tried to kill her. She was visiting Vancouver for a vacation and staying at a hotel near Cole Harbour. I was on the seawall just walking, and I think this guy said something to me, and I honest to God can't remember what he said, she said. She turned and saw a man up on a grass hill. He didn't even respond. He just ran at me to attack me, she recalled. I've honest to God never seen anything like that, where it just felt like he was a predator and I was a prey. The woman started running away from him, and the man was able to catch up to her. He grabbed me by the back of the jacket and just slammed me into the ground, she said. With that first assault, I was stunned, but also like, oh my God, and I just started fighting and screaming. Thinking quickly, she used her bag of cans and swung at the man. So from my recall of the story, she was on vacation, but she had to work that day. So after, I think she went down and she grabbed a couple White Claws, and when she's going to have a couple White Claws, watch some TV, lie in the king-size bed. We've all been there after a day of traveling, working, all that, and that was her plan. So when he attacked her, she just started fucking like smashing him with the fucking bag. And apparently after they found this evidence and there was no White Claw left in the White Claw because she had fucking like hit him so hard that it actually like all spewed out. So like, good job, girly. Fucking good job. It's like, girl's a hero here. Saving, fighting for herself. I was able to run off, she said. I pulled my phone out and called 911. The man caught up to her a second time. She said he grabbed her phone and smashed it on the ground. He was taking great joy in hurting me, she said. I just knew this person was not okay. There's no way to ration or reason with them, just to fight. She recalled being pulled down to the ground again and fighting back again. Then when most of my injury, that's when most of my injuries happened, she said. I was able to run off again and get pretty far before he grabbed me a third time. This third time, she claimed that the man punched her multiple times in the head and she blacked out. I just kept telling myself to get up, she said in the social media post. I was able to fight him off again and continue running. Stephanie has a broken nose, multiple cuts, bruises, and her clothing was ripped apart. Thankfully, I encountered a group of people, she said, that actually ended up being a group of undercover plainclothes cops. The man continued running after her, and police were able to arrest him. I thought they were just a group of nice guys, she said. From there, they sat me down near the Westin Bayshore Hotel and got my statement. She is very appreciative of all the help of each first responder she dealt with, including police, nurses, doctors, and the victim service unit. I'm very lucky, she said. Peter Hans Jalo Nungu has been charged with assault causing bodily harm and was taken into custody at the time of the offense. Nungu has his first court appearance on April 23rd. He's also facing charges from an incident 2 days earlier in Surrey, April 13th, including assaulting a peace officer, uttering threats to burn and destroy damage. So the update is the alleged individual is now out on bail following attack on the woman along Vancouver seawall on April 15th, according to VPD. Upon release, he was taken to the hospital for mental health evaluation, said Sergeant Steve Addison, where, when suitable for release from hospital, he will be subjected to house arrest. His next court appearance is May 20th. How do we feel about that? Because so you attack someone and then automatically you get released and you get looked at for mental health and then you go on house arrest? Like, obviously whatever happened, the first assault didn't work, so let's just keep him out of jail. Like, this person is obviously attacking people for no reason. This woman is from another side, and it doesn't even matter. Even if she was mean to him on social media or gave him a look, like, even if she said something, do we think that we need to be beat like that? I don't think so, which I don't think this woman is. She literally looks like she was just on a trip, enjoying herself, checking out Vancouver from the other side of the world. I don't think she maybe knew how bad Vancouver could get. I do think, like it's unfortunately at this day and age, a little bit of a bold move to be by yourself, but that it shouldn't have to be this way. But I don't know. I was prancing around Vancouver at 19 years old with my girlfriends, and I had no business doing that. And I'm 38 years old, so I can't imagine over the 20 years it's gotten any better. And so, I feel for her. She's so brave. Like, I'm so glad she's speaking out about it. And she, it looks like she feels very empowered for how she handled herself, how she was able to fight. And that's amazing. I'm so glad she gets to share her story. And I'm not trying to fearmonger people, but I do think it's really important. Any individual, just be paying attention and being aware of your surroundings. And again, obviously there's absolutely no way she could have prevented this. Like, I mean, maybe just not existing and not walking around, but like, we shouldn't have to be that way. But either way, just trying your best. Like, I know I used to be so bad at just looking at my phone and always on my phone, walking around with my phone and not paying attention to my surroundings, not paying attention to things around my car, anything like that. And I'm not saying you have to do it all the time, but I was very ignorant that those things even happened, and they happen all the time in our country, in our backyard. So it's very important that we watch these things right here in Vancouver, right? Like, and the fact that he is back out and on bail after just also uttering threats to a peace officer, like, I mean, you can call them mall cops all you want, but they're still human fucking beings. You still don't do that. Like, how is this okay? And we'll get to an article after of, a little bit of criticism as to why, but that was obviously one super tragic event that happened, and luckily she survived. It looks like, obviously there's pain that she has, stuff that she has to work through, and I'm sure PTSD, but thankfully she's still alive. Doesn't sound like this man really wanted her to be alive, and like, good for her. So, if you are single, not even single, if you're just a girly and you want to learn, guys, like, literally go find a boxing coach, kickboxing, any sort of fighting, class around you just to get that knowledge. Start working out, start lifting, like if you're worried and you feel weak and you feel like someone's going to take you away, like learn to fight, learn to punch something, even if it's just pulling up YouTube in your basement and following something. Like, it is possible, and I empower you all to go and do that. For me personally, it's the most empowering thing. I'm not going to say I'm going to be able to fight somebody off, but I feel much better now than I did, 9 months ago when I started learning how to throw a punch, right? So 10-10 recommend, if you are nervous about those type of things, to, the best way to not be nervous is just to lean into it. Go figure it out. If someone was going to fight you, what are you going to do? You're going to fight back? How? Right? So start there. Okay. So the next, very, 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 very unfortunate story that I want to bring. Also want to send prayers and thoughts, all the love, all the support out to everyone in Vancouver over the weekend. Obviously, you guys know it's been a couple days. On Saturday, there was an absolute devastating tragedy that happened at a Filipino festival down in Vancouver, and we're going to go over that story today. There's not very many graphic photos or anything like that, so just keep that, but this is actually an article from CNN that I wanted to bring up because, again, it's alleging, from what I'm understanding, is this individual is also someone that was known to police and sounds like perhaps could be allegedly a repeat offender. And I guess my question is that, again, at what point? So we're looking, this man, the first man, is a repeat offender. It sounds like it's getting worse and worse and worse. This next story is a repeat offender now, where up to 11 lives and counting have been lost. So I guess my question is, at what point? At what point are people going to be held responsible for taking away people's lives? Because this is happening very often. It feels like there's essentially a slap on the wrist and then that is it. And I'm just not okay with that. So let's go into this article. I'm sure most of you in our area have heard, but if not, let's review this together. Okay. At least 11 people killed after car plows into crowd at Vancouver Filipino Festival. This is off CNN. A driver plowed a car into a street festival celebrating Filipino heritage in Vancouver on Saturday night, killing at least 11 people and injuring dozens more in what police are calling the darkest day in city's history. Some of those attending the festival helped chase down and detain the suspect, who police identified as a 30-year-old man who had a history of mental health-related interactions with authorities. The event on Saturday was intended as a celebration of culture and diversity, marking Lapu Lapu Day, an annual festival organized by British Columbia's Filipino community and commemorating an indigenous leader who fought against Spanish colonization. Food trucks lined the street as performers broke out in traditional Filipino dance in the spring sunshine. Yet the family-friendly event ended in horror. One witness described it was like a war zone, with bodies seen lying all over the street. The actions of a single person shattered a collective sense of safety. It is impossible to overstate how many lives have been impacted forever by this lone individual, Vancouver Police Interim Chief Steve Ray told reporters on Sunday. No motive has been given, although police say that there's no indication the incident was an act of terrorism. In a press briefing on Sunday morning local time, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney said he is deeply heartbroken over the attack, which came ahead of Monday's election, while stressing authorities do not believe there is an active threat to Canadians. Carney confirmed that 9 people were killed and more than 20 were injured in what Vancouver police are describing as a car ramming attack. He continued, "Last night, families lost a sister, a brother, a mother, a father, a son, or daughter. Those families are living every family's nightmare." The incident unfolded just after 8 p.m. local time, when a man drove a black Audi SUV into a large crowd of people attending the Lapu Lapu Day Festival near East 43rd Avenue and Fraser Street, police said. The male suspect, who is from Vancouver, was arrested at the scene. Pause. Maybe he said more. Maybe he said more. But how are we going to stop this, Carney? How are you going to stop this? If you get elected today, how are you going to stop criminals like this? Because it seems that things are just continually getting worse all the time. David Eby has a lot to do with this in the NDP here in British Columbia. You're also our prime minister. So thank you for the condolences. That's beautiful. Thank you. What are you going to do to protect people? Because now there's a whole community that doesn't feel safe in Vancouver anymore. What are you going to do? Just my question. And let me say this. There's going to be 2 ways after Monday this is going to go. Either there's going to be a fuck ton of content because I'm going to be sick to my stomach that Mark Carney got in, and we're going to have to work extra hard to show everybody who he is, since we've only had a couple months to do so and he's hidden a lot. Or we're going to be hopefully talking about all the wins we're going to see and all the stuff that Pierre's going to be fighting for. Either way. And also, of course, if there's any corruption there, we'll call it out. But Very curious to see after this week how the show's going to turn, but c'est la vie. Maybe we just come at news and hopefully that's it and it's not going to be about government corruption, but I would like to know how we fixing this. Ray said the suspect was thought to have operated alone, was the sole occupant of the vehicle, and remains in custody. Police are not publicly identifying the subject as he has not yet been charged. The investigation led by the Vancouver Police Department's major crime scene is ongoing, and police have asked members of the public to contact them with any information about the incident. Eyewitnesses who attend the street festival describe the scenes as chaos. It's something you don't expect to see in your lifetime, Chris Panganilan, a Toronto-based journalist, told Canadian public broadcaster CBC. The driver just slammed the pedal down and rammed into hundreds of people. It was like seeing a bowling ball hit and all the pins flying in the air. He continued, it was like a war zone. There were bodies all over the ground. Footage taken in the aftermath of the incident and geolocated by CNN showed a tree-lined street with food stalls on either side strewn with debris. Multiple people could be seen on the ground while emergency responders worked to provide them with medical aid. Sirens could be heard in the distance as authorities asked people to keep the area clear. The black SUV with a smashed front end sat in the middle of the road for the driver's side door open as police officer inspect the vehicle. Reuters photos from the aftermath of the incident show paramedics and ambulances at the scene with police cordons visible. Authorities had conducted a risk assessment prior to the festival, which was largely held on the grounds of a school that was not directly accessible through public roads, Rai said, adding that they found no threats to the event or to the Filipino community and decided that police officers and heavy vehicle barricades would not be deployed on site. While I'm confident the joint risk assessment and public safety plan was sound, we will be working with our partners at the City of Vancouver to review all circumstances surrounding the planning of this event. The organizers of the festival and community group called Filipino BC wrote in a statement on Instagram following the fatal incident, "We are still finding the words to express the deep heartbreak brought on by the senseless tragedy. We are devastated for the families and victims. I have just such a sick feeling," British Columbia Premier David Eby said at a press conference. "I don't think there's a British Columbia that hasn't been touched in some way by the Filipino community," he told reporters. Jagmeet Singh, the leader of Canada's New Democratic Party, attended the festivals but left moments before the incident. "I was just there, and I just imagined the faces of the kids that I saw smiling and dancing. This is so horrific. I don't even know what to say." Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. said those killed in the unspeakable tragedy would not be forgotten, that the Filipino diplomats and staff in Vancouver have been instructed to assist the victims and coordinate the Canadian authorities. David, Mr. Eby, sir, do you ever wonder if some of the policies and things that you have in place are the reasons why these crimes continue to happen? Or maybe that we're not actually addressing the mental health crisis here in BC, rather just providing money towards doing more drugs and safe supply and harm reduction? And I'm not saying that this individual is on drugs or they're part of those programs, but I'm just saying, do we really think that we've got a handle on the mental health crisis across the board? Or do we think that perhaps we need a little bit of reform and reinvestigating on what needs to actually happen for these individuals? I mean, maybe some people are just off their rocker and there's no way to save them, but at the same time, you're saying this is sickening you? Brother, it's sickening all of us, the way that this whole entire province has been taken care of criminally. This stuff keeps happening. These are a couple weeks apart. These are a handful of weeks apart. Pretty bad things happening. That's just two. Literally just two. And before yesterday, before this happened, when I was searching all the different violence and crimes in Vancouver, there's a plethora, but obviously this story is taken over, so it's not like this is uncommon. So I understand that you're sick to your stomach, my dude, but what are you doing to fix it is my question. How are you helping here? Please, I would love to know. Okay, so let's have a look at an article now that's just kind of calling out the state of affairs here right now in Vancouver. Former cops' brutally honest take on crime and justice in Vancouver. So this is just from April 25th, so just a couple days ago. It has been an eventful few weeks for crime in Vancouver and even more eventful past few years of the wheels of justice in this province. Earlier this month, we reported a story on a high-risk offender who was going to be living in Vancouver. Just days later, he was rearrested for breaching his conditions. Then earlier this week, a Toronto woman went viral after after she shared how she was brutally attacked near Stanley Park. The suspect in that case was released on house arrest conditions after the attack. The story went viral and was reported by publications across Canada. Additionally, over the past few years, we've shared many stories about the repeat offenders committing violent crimes here in Vancouver. Daily Hive had an exclusive interview with a former Vancouver police officer who now serves as a counselor for the city of Richmond. He didn't mince words about what he feels are the major issues contributing to lawlessness in the city. Over the past several years, the issue of repeat offenders has taken center stage. Many violent crimes committed in Vancouver over the past few years have involved suspects with rich criminal histories. That led conversations about bail reform, which prompted changes from the federal government. However, Cash Heed, the former police officer we spoke to, feels that the BC government is largely to blame. He'd served as VPD for 32 years, leaving the force in 2007 when he was superintendent. He then took the chief spot at the West Vancouver Police Department. One reality that we hear about a lot is that folks who are involved in some sort of crimes committed in Vancouver are suffering from mental health and substance abuse issues. Sometimes compassion is blamed for releasing repeat offenders due to their conditions. Compassion is to put them in some type of program that is going to correct the condition that they have, he'd said, adding that it isn't compassionate to have people sleeping in alcoves and living on the sidewalks. When asked why we see so many repeat offenders, he'd said, "I point that finger right back at David Eby. It's the administration of justice. It's clear that if you're a threat to society, it is clear that if you're a repeat offender, you should be locked up. What happens is the judges in British Columbia disregard that. I don't know why." He'd said that Eby and Attorney General Nikki Sharma should go to the chief judge and bang their fists on the table saying, "Your judges are not enforcing the Bail Reform Act the way it was intended to be. What are you going to do about it?" He added that they seemed to be afraid to do so. Because he'd last worked for the VPD in the late 2000s, we asked if the narrative around crime in Vancouver and violent stranger attacks has changed since then. He believes the Vancouver Police Department's approach to sharing information about crimes has shifted. While he believes that the intensity of violent attacks hasn't changed, he does think that the frequency has increased, but also the frequency of reporting, which has residents more attuned of instances of violence. At one point, they started to report all of these stranger attacks. Previously, police would internalize a lot of stranger attacks so as to not alarm public, but for some reason, a decision was made to broadcast it and amplify it to the highest degree. He had opinions on why that change was made, including budgetary concerns and political reasons, such as the most recent civic election. In 2023, we asked VPD about the claim that crime reporting increased before the last civil election. In response, the VPD said, "We present facts because people deserve transparency from public agencies and they deserve to know what the police department is doing to keep them safe and that offenders are apprehended." While he'd criticized the BC government for not doing more to lock up repeat offenders, he also had additional suggestions on how VPD could do things differently. As we reported earlier this year, VPD Chief Adam Palmer will be stepping down. I think they have a real good opportunity because they're changing the leadership of the department. He believes that the force should steer clear of politics and focus on policing. The next chief cannot forget what their role is as a public servant and how he or she can make a difference and ensure our safe environment for everyone. Hear, hear. Well said. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not just making it up, guys. I'm just seeing what I'm seeing. And I just truly believe that. Like, again, okay, you made things wrong. I'm not a policy maker. I make mistakes. I get it. But can we say that we're not doing good here? We need some change. And I think I just get really, 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 really tired and exhausted to hear like, well, we want to do better. We're hoping to do better. I'm so sorry. Cheers. Apologies. I'm so blah, blah. Okay, do something to change it. Do something to change it. The judges need to be harsher. I really like what Pierre Poilievre talks about, repeat offenders that are doing drugs to get treatment, to get help. Again, throwing money, just opening up facilities without any support isn't doing fuck all. You can argue me to death all you want on that, but I'm sorry, I've been watching this for 4 years and this shit is just progressively getting worse under this leadership. So pray, I really, really pray. If you haven't voted already and you are listening today on Monday, April 28th, make sure you get out there. Your card should have been in the mail. All you need is your ID. Make sure to bring a pen. Go on down there, even if it's 1 or 2 hours after work. I know that's annoying. I can understand. But I don't want to hear bitching from motherfuckers that don't participate, that don't get involved, and that at this point say that they don't know anything when there is, even with blocked social media, we can still see the news, we can still look up the stuff. for ourselves, guys, Google is really, really at your fingertips. You just have to look and see who is sponsoring that post. If it's sponsored by one of the parties, then obviously it's going to be biased, but just keep your mind sharp. Make sure you go out and vote. That is our democratic right. There is a bunch of us that lost people that we care about in our lives that fought for that right to do that. So make sure you go and do that, whether you're voting blue, purple, red, green, orange, whichever. As much as I would hate for you to vote anything other than blue, I want to respect your choice and what you think is best for your family. But always open to having discussions about that in the comment sections, in my DMs. But keep it nice, keep it polite, because I am truly Canadian at core and I don't believe in being fucking mean to each other. We can have adult discourse about stuff that we disagree with. But that is it for today. Wish and pray for Canada today, you guys, if you're watching on Monday, April 28th. And I will be back next week to catch up on what the fuck happened and where our country is headed in the next episode.
Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Until next time, bye.